My name's Deanna Elkins, and this is the Veterans History Project for Mr. Munn's AP class. And we are talking to Glenn Black. He is a friend. It is May 12, 2003. We are at his house. He was born January 23rd, 1925. His address is 304 North Norton. He was in World War II in the Navy. His rank was the machinist mate, 3rd class, and he served in the Pacific. First question, were you drafted or enlisted?
I was drafted.
And where were you living at the time?
I was living here in Marion.
Did you want to join?
I didn't particularly want to go, no.
And which branch did you serve in?
In the Navy.
Do you think that you made the right decision to go?
I didn't have no decision. That's where they put me. I didn't have a choice.
Do you recall your first days being there?
Yes, I do.
And what were they like?
Well, you ain't gonna believe this, but we got on a train. We went to Great Lakes, and there was a bunch of other people there from all over, and we slept on a cot, a fold-out cot. And when I woke up the next morning, there's another guy in bed. We was both in that cot. I'll never forget that.
How long did it take you to adapt to your living?
The next morning, when we got up, I went to the mess hall. And all my life, there was 13 of us kids in the family. For breakfast, they gave me a little box of cornflakes, and I thought I was somebody. I'd never had my own private box of cornflakes my whole life.
How long did it take you to adapt to living on a ship?
It didn't take. I adapted easy. It didn't. The first day, I mean, nothing.
That's good. Did you go through any boot camp training?
Yep. Went through boot camp training at Great Lake Naval Base, and we was in there about 6 weeks, and we got an overnight pass, and we went into Milwaukee, and you can believe it or not, I was so dumb that the guys that we were with said, let's have a T-bone steak. I'd never tasted a T-bone steak. I'd never had one in my whole life. And we got a steak dinner. This was in 1943, and it was 35 cents.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. They're like $10 now. What type of things did you have to learn to be able to be on your ship?
You have the same training that you have in the Army. You have to learn firearms, marching and drilling, the same. Then you go to a station where they put out, and everything's done alphabetical order in the Navy. And I was in Pearl Harbor, and we had to cut sugar cane one day. You had to work. And the next day, my name was on the board because AB, and they put us on this ship, the USS Black Hawk. And that's the way it happened.
Do you remember your instructors?
Yes. I had 3 petty officers. The warrant officers is what they was. And one of them was Newman, and one was Prochaska, and I can't remember the other's name. But them two, and they was instructors. They was over the machine shop that I was in. And I didn't have no more formal training, but I've always been mechanically, and they give you a test on the ship, and that's the reason I got in the machine shop.
Okay, and do you remember what your ship looked like?
Yeah.
There. You got that picture, huh?
Yeah.
Can't forget about that, right?
I wish I had the copy machine. I could make you a copy of it.
Yeah. Maybe one day we can take it to the library. You can take it down
Yeah.
there.
That copy machine works if you know how to work it.
I don't.
Well, I wish Bobby was over there. He did. He knows how to work it. I don't. But anyway, take it and make copy of it.
Okay.
Yes, would you bring it back, huh?
Okay. That's fine. When you finally got on your ship, where did you go first?
We went to, after about 6 weeks, we went to Alaska. And we was up there for 14 months.
14 months. Do you remember what it was like there?
It was cold. It was cold, and we worked on, actually up there we worked on mainly submarines. That's what we worked on up
While you were there, did you see any combat? Was there any fighting there?
there. There was no fighting there. In Alaska, it's close to Russia, you know, and they was trying to get a base there. And we was just there for security.
Do you remember anything that happened that would have been funny or interesting while you were there in Alaska, on or off the boat?
There's plenty of it. Adak, Alaska, and there's nothing there. That's where we was at. And they take you over to the beach and they have beer parties, and I didn't drink. But when they would come back, they'd be drunk, and you had to walk a gangplank to get the motor launched, and people would fall in that cold water. And they wouldn't get in there till they was back up out of there. And we had a mile to go, and that clothes would actually freeze on them by the time they got back.
Do you remember staying in touch with your family? Did you receive any mail? Or?
Yeah, letters all the time. You didn't know when you was going to get them. Now, when you was in port like that, we stayed there. We got mail regular out there. But we spent as high as 30 days out to sea before. And then you don't get none until you get in port.
So, do you have any of those letters?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you remember what the food was like aboard your ship?
It was good food. Just we had a galley. They cooked just as good. Had turkey for Thanksgiving. You know, had good meals.
That's good. Do you remember what it was like in your sleeping quarters?
Yeah, we slept right in the machine shop on an army cot.
Were there a lot of men in there?
Yep, all them men that was in that picture.
Okay. Was there something special that you or the guys in your crew did for good luck?
No, not good luck or anything, but I can show you. There's many people got this right here. I'm telling you. That letter right there, huh?
Who is this from?
This is from the commander up there, and this was up in Alaska there, in Aleutian.
Oh, it says that they would like to have you attend Saturday night at the Finger Bay Beer Hall and have a party on me. If you will call our flag lieutenant, Lieutenant Commander A.C. Robbins Jr., Finger 162, a day or so in advance, he will make arrangements for you. So your captain was throwing you a party?
No, I made this cribbage board. Now cribbage, they play this cards, you know.
Yeah.
And I made it for this guy, and then he sent me a letter for gonna throw me a party for making it for
Oh, I see. Well, that's awful nice of him. Did you go?
me. No, I didn't go.
You didn't go?
I didn't go. And here, this is a picture of the original discharge.
You can almost barely read it.
It's old, huh?
I know. Yeah, I have to have a couple of these for the thing. Maybe one day we can get together and go down to the library.
Well, I'll have Bobby to make you copies of them. You can come get them.
Okay.
I'll have him make you copies of that, and this here with the copy. It makes perfect copies. It'll be just like that.
Okay.
We make copies. All that stuff you've seen in that thing is made copies of. We can reduce it down, blow it up, or anything.
What did people do on your ship to entertain themselves?
Well, we had everything. We had They had ice cream. You could get. We had boxing, wrestling. Had show every night.
Oh, what kind of shows?
Just first run feature.
What did you do when you were on leave, or were you ever on leave?
Yeah, well, one time I came home, and another time I never had only 10 days all the time I was in there, and that was 5 days, and I come home and went back, and then I went to from San Francisco and Oakland. I went when we was getting some repairs done. I went to L.A. and that's all the leave I ever had. We went there. A bunch of us guys we just went there, toured Hollywood and everything.
Did you go anywhere else besides Alaska while you were
Yeah.
in the service?
Went a lot of places. From Alaska, then we went down to Pearl Harbor, and we stayed there at Pearl Harbor for a while. Then we came back to the States because we was in bad need of repair. And then we went back to Pearl Harbor, and we went to the South Pacific, to a lot of the islands down there. And it took us from Pearl Harbor, it took us 30 days to get to Okinawa. And we went to Okinawa. And we was there when the war was over. And the reason we was there is if you look in that book, you'll see. But when the war was about over, they sent out suicide planes, and just the pilot would just dive into a ship and blow it up. And we was there fixing them up so they could get back to the States. And the war was over then, and we went from there to China, and we went up the Yellow Sea and mineswept, took all the mineswept. Now, actually, the Japanese had went into China in 1936, and there was thousands of them there, and they captured all the ships, American ships that was in there at that time. So what we done, we went in there and we repaired a lot of the ships. In fact, we repaired one, and there was a show about Steve McQueen made it, the Marblehead. We repaired that ship so it could go actually. And every time we'd get a ship repaired, we'd fill it with Japanese and send them back to Japan.
Do you remember what it was like at Pearl Harbor? Like some of the things you did there, or the people you saw?
It was nice. Yeah. I spent one Christmas there, and it was went swimming, and it's just a nice place. The only thing was too crowded, huh? I mean, you get all the sailors and stuff there. A lot of them drink, and they ruin everything. Is what they do. And I don't drink or I don't smoke, and I'm kind of a misfit, when it comes to stuff like that. One time, this is the way things happen. One time, I'd been out, I walked every place. I'd been out to some place there, I don't remember where it was, Waikiki Beach or something, and I was walking back towards the ship, and past this alley, and you can believe it or not, some guy jumped out of that alley and grabbed me around the neck and hit me in the eye, and I had the dangest black eye you ever seen. In fact, it swelled up so much it busted open up here. And then he let me go, and he said, "Oops, the wrong guy." He thought it was somebody else. See, and he was probably drunk, That's fine. I'm not much for being around drunk people. I'm a sightseer, I just walk every place, seen everything there was to see, that I thought there was to see, Interesting place.
Was there any specific people that you remember that made your life easier while you were there, or even caused you problems while you were there?
No one never caused me problems. I was good friends with all the people. And there was one named Williams, and he was from Three River, Michigan. He'd been in the service a long time. He was a big stout guy, and what we'd do I was the littlest guy in the whole division, only weighed 110 pounds. And we had 3 or 4 ships lined up alongside of us all the time because we were done repair work for destroyers. Well, they'd come over the ship, they'd come on the ship, and where we was, they played cards all the time down in. We lived right in the machine shop, actually, and we had big hunks of metal there. I mean, 10 foot long, this big around. Now, then that guy'd say, I bet you $10 you two guys can't lift that piece of metal there. Well, they'd go back and try to lift it. It weighed 300 or 400 pounds. And they couldn't lift it. So he'd say, well, I can take this out here and we can lift it. And what we'd do is I'd go down there and I'd kneel down and I'd get a hold of it like this. And he'd pick up the other end of it. And he made money that he was always betting something that I could do or couldn't do. We was good friends. I was friends with everybody. I don't have no enemy.
That's good.
Is that good?
That is good. Keeps you out of trouble, huh? Do you remember where you were at when you were sent home when your service ended?
I was in China when it ended.
They told you you could just go home?
Yeah, no. They put you out on a point system. How long you've been in there, and how long you was overseas and everything. And I didn't get out till I got out in March 1946. I went in July of 43, and I got out in March of 46.
What did you do the last days that you were there?
Worked on them shifts. Worked in the machine shop.
What exactly did you build in the machine shop? Did you like do everything?
Built everything. Any part that broke on a ship, then we'd repair it. It was just like they'd just give you a blueprint and say, here, make this up.
They didn't really teach you how to make them?
Well, I have a knack to build for doing stuff. I could just run any machine.
Did people get hurt? Like, were there any?
Yeah, we had. If you write in this book, I can show you. We had in gunnery practice. They hit something and shrapnel shot one kid. We had some drowned off of here. Stuff happens, you know what I mean. That's life for you. No matter where you're at, somebody's always gonna get hurt.
So the William guy that you talked about, was he one of your closest friends while you were there?
Do what?
The guy you talked
No.
about? No. Did you have any really close friends?
Oh yeah, I had gobs of them. I mean, real close friends. We're just like family.
Yeah.
Because we lived right together.
Were there any that you still talk to now?
They're all dead.
Oh, geez.
I'm the only one still living.
Are you? Do you know anything about the GI Bill? Was your education supported by that?
I know anything about it, but I never took any of it. I didn't. I didn't participate in any of the GI Bill. I didn't, I didn't need to really.
While you were in China, did you have a hard time communicating with the other people that were there? You didn't have to know how to speak any Chinese?
Yeah, I learned a little bit. I won't tell you what it is.
Were you always really protected? Did you ever have to fight in combat, or were you mainly a shield
No.
carrier?
No, we was a non-combat ship. We had 9 destroyers that took care of it. If anything come close, because we was a valuable ship, we was their lifeline. They surrounded us all the time.
So you never had any problems with any close to death experiences while you were there?
Not really. I don't know what close experience are. I don't know. I'm different than most people. Nothing scares me.
Well, from being around the war, were like the noises, did they bother you, like the sound of, could you hear people, or could you hear the bombs or anything?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could, but I mean, I don't know. it's funny. I mean, I'm a guy. I'm just a survivor. I just figured I'd survive no matter what happened. I was a good swimmer. You know, I mean,
Is there any other stories or funny memories that you can remember while there?
there's a lot of them, but I can't just pull them out of the sky, you know, because it's been such a long time. You know.
After your service was ended, where did you come back here?
Yeah, we came from China to San Diego, and then we went from San Diego on a troop train to Great Lakes. And that's where I went at and was mustered out at Great Lakes.
Did they pay you to be in the war? Like, how are you financially supported? Did you have to pay for your own items while you were
No,
there?
got $21 a month.
That was enough to like feed and shelter you?
That's all they paid you, $21 a month.
So did you have money when you came home?
Well, I didn't have any, but I sent a lot of money home because there wasn't no place to spend it. But I had two sisters to die and was a poor family, and my mom took the money and buried them, and you know, I didn't have any when I come home, but I did get later on $300 mustering out pay. Down the line. And I bought a house. We was married at that time, and I bought a house. Down payment.
Was your father still alive when you came home?
Oh yeah,
How's come he didn't go to the war?
had 13 kids.
They wouldn't. They don't drive.
And he was 40 years old. Well, I suppose I don't know how old he was. They didn't draft people with big families.
Did any of your brothers go with you?
Yep, I had four brothers. There was four of us in the service at the same time. Two in the Navy and two in the Army.
So did you ever see your other brothers?
Believe it or not, in Oakland, California, I was walking down the street and met him. Didn't know he was there. Met him in Oakland, California. Just met him just walking down the street. And that happened twice. His ship was coming back to the States. It had been hit. It was coming back for repairs. And I was on Liberty in Pearl Harbor, and I met him there in Pearl Harbor, just walking down the street. Thousands of sailors run into him.
So did you recognize him? Like
Oh
right away?
yeah, yes, we spent the night together.
Yeah. Was he like happy about being where he was?
Oh yeah, yeah. He just died.
When you got home, were things different? Like, were people different about the war? Were they supportive towards you for being
No,
there?
there was so many people in the service at that time. He was just another guy. I mean, you know, you can't expect for people to treat you as a hero or anything. I mean, there's too many, and you don't want to be treated that way anyway. I never done anything that nobody else wouldn't do for their country.
Did your military experiences influence your thinking about the war or the military? Do you value these people more, people that are fighting for us now?
Well, I don't understand the war now, to tell you the truth, because it's Bush's war. If they can't find no weapons of mass destruction, he tore a country up because he didn't like the ruler. See? And we have not got the right to tell somebody else how to live. I can't tell you how to live. See? And that's what he's trying to. We can't force our way of living on other people. And if they don't find weapons of mass destruction, I think he done wrong by going over there and tearing that country.
Do you think that what you were doing during World War II, do you think that you did the right thing? Do you think that war was okay? Like what we were fighting
Yes,
for?
yes. Now that was a different war. Somebody was trying to overtake us. See, the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor, and the next place they'd be would be in California.
Why do you think they would go to California?
Well, that was in the Pacific, and that's the next stop, Pearl Harbor.
Do you remember anything that like someone told you as encouragement words? Anything that you remember that you carried with you?
No, I'm not superstitious or anything.
If you had a chance to re-enter the Navy, would you do it again?
Yeah, if I'd have had it over it again, I would have probably stayed in there, stayed in longer because the ship was decommissioned. This ship that I was on was one of the oldest ships in the Navy. It was built in 1913. So it was an old ship.
Or at least it was safe, right?
Yeah, it was safe. It rode out a typhoon, and I had that paper I was going to show you, but I don't know what I did with it.
You were in a typhoon?
Yeah, in 1945 in Okinawa. Yeah, rode it out. Wave 65 feet high.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared. You're going to be scared then.
Did you ever get seasick at the beginning?
No, not really. I mean, whenever you're out to sea, the motion makes you like you think you got a cold all the time. Your stomach's a little upset, but you don't vomit or anything. It's just nature, the movement of the ship. Everybody feels that way. You don't eat as good or anything, but it's not that you're not. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, you know, I mean, you know you're moving.
Were there any telephone calls, like as time went on, was there a telephone that you got to use?
No communication.
So when did you get married?
Got married in January 47.
This is after you came home from the war?
After come home, yeah, about a year later.
Did you being in the war ever affect your marriage?
No. I'm a firm believer what anyone does before they're married, that the only part that counts is from that time on. Whatever you've done before that, she couldn't stop or I couldn't stop, so it doesn't make any difference. That's the way I never asked about her past, she never asked about mine. And my brother was married to my wife's sister. Our kids is double cousin.
Oh. Is there anything that you would like to add, like to this interview that you would like for the person to know?
Not necessarily, just be like me and love everybody.
Like, I noticed that you wear glasses. Did you have glasses back then?
No,
Did you?
I never wore glasses until I was over 50 years old.
So that your sight back then was never a problem?
No.
Well, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah, you can see what was
It's not
coming.
really a problem now. I can see perfect without these glasses, but I can't read with it, see? And I don't believe in carrying them in my pocket and then taking them off. You are buggy. That might be a tick, hon. Let's see, I believe it is. It is a tick, huh? Where you been in the grass at?
Do you remember, did you ever have to get up early? Was there a certain time you had to be up or in bed? Did you have those certain things?
When you was in Navy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have regular hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But being as it was like where we was and we slept there, we was pretty near the ship. We'd go to sleep, but you could stay up as long as you wanted to. I mean, we could, because we slept right in our,
You worked.
right by your machine you run.
So, were those machines loud? Did you have to wear like earplugs? Did that affect your hearing at all? Factories nowadays are loud.
Well, that never affected me in any way. It's age that affects my hearing now.
Yeah. Did you have those inspections that they call them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Well, when we was in Alaska, President, I can't even think of his name, Roosevelt came up there on a cruiser, heavy cruiser, and we had to go over there and in their white uniforms, and it was cold, and stand at attention while he gave a speech, and he was in a glass cage on that, not as far from here as that location as I could see him.
Yeah. So do you remember what he said to you?
He said something about the war. He didn't, he was political. Yeah.
Did you like
I
him?
went,
Was he inspirational?
I didn't he's about like, well, you treat him about like you would if you had tickets to go down there to Indianapolis to see Bush.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a big deal. I wouldn't walk across the street to see Bush, or I wouldn't, or any of the other presidents. They're just people, got a better job than I got, and they make more money, but that's it. You know what I mean? They're not, to me, they're not important.
That others feel that way too.
About anything in my whole life. You know, I mean, I worked when my wife was, in all the years I've ever worked, I've never called off sick one day. And then I started work when I was 13 years old. How many years has that been? I've never called off sick.
Do you remember, did you finish school before you were drafted?
No, I didn't. I was drafted before I finished high school. And I could have gotten my diploma as far as that goes. I didn't.
Did you want to? Did you ever go back to school?
No, I didn't. Didn't want to. If you was like I was, then you could have went and just got your diploma. I didn't, but you could have. I mean, back in them days, it wasn't that important. It's more important now than it was back in them days. Because you could get a job any place you wanted to.
Where did you work when you got home?
Well, the first job I had was at a company called Ballard's Packing Company. And it was delivering meat, and I didn't like that job. So I quit that job, worked there one day, quit that job, went to work in a cabinet factory called the Spencer Carter. And I just loved that work, woodwork. And I was a repairman, repaired all the cabinets after they got done. And then I quit that and went to the Dana. Got a job with them because I was a machinist, But the Dana wasn't there when I first got out. And I helped set up the Dana. In fact, I set up and run the tube mill out there at the Dana. And then another guy wanted me to go to work for him, and he said, we'll give you part of the business when I get ready to retire. The business will be over. Well, I worked for him for 30 years, and he stole the business out, and I didn't get nothing. Now, that's the truth.
That's really terrible.
It is, yeah.
It really is.
That's life for you. But I went right on living. I didn't worry about it.
When you were in China, did you guys, even though you were at China and you were in Alaska, like, did you still have to stay on the ship?
No, you got liberty.
So, like, you didn't, so you had somewhere else to sleep while you were there?
No. We always had to go back to ship at night.
But during the day, you could go wherever you
You could,
wanted.
during the day, you could go to China. You wasn't supposed to eat anything over there. They were so far behind us back in them days that and I can show you pictures right now, they actually ground their wheat but on a raw and stuff. And you wasn't supposed to eat it. They had no sewer system or anything over there. If you had to go to the bathroom, you just went behind the building. That's their way of life.
So, you didn't eat while you were there, did
Didn't
you?
eat anything. No. Didn't eat nothing that was produced there.
Did you bring home any souvenirs? Did you go while you were there shopping?
Yes, I did. I don't have them now, but because I'm not one you can see, I give everything away. The only thing I did want was a teakwood box that I brought home, a hand-carved chest. I still had an argument over that because my brother took it and wouldn't give it to me after my sister died. My sister had it. So it's a sore spot for me. Anyway, nothing bothered. You know, that's all done.
Did your mom take it really hard that you had to go, or was she pretty lenient? Did she say, you know,
Well,
you go?
she had 4 in there. She worried a lot. You know, yeah, you're bound to. I have 4 sons in the service, and all of them come back during wartime.
All of you guys came?
Yeah.
That's good. You don't hear that too often.
That's unusual, I'm telling you. And one brother was in India. One set up communication, all of them from when they set off atomic blast, and the other was in the Navy. He was on a landing craft. He took the Marines and stuff into the island. He was shot 2 or 3 times. He made it though.
That's all
Worked
good. You were never like injured though in any sort of way by a
No.
machine or anything. That's good.
Is that good?
That's good. You got all 10 fingers and 10 toes.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been lucky all my life, I guess. And I'm accident prone, actually.
Think so?
I can get hurt pretty easy, yeah.
Were there any regulations or rules you had to follow about your hair or
Yeah.
the way you were dressed? Like
Right, yeah.
So you had a couple sets of clothing?
Yeah, you have more than that. Yeah. I don't remember. My wife, when I got home, before we got married, my wife took my blue uniform and had a dress and a jumper made out of it. She was married in it, in my navy blue.
So you weren't allowed to bring anything from home with you to the Navy?
Yeah, you could bring. If you didn't know, I mean, back in them days, the rules. Now then, when you're on leave or anything, you can wear civilian clothes, but you couldn't back in the 40s. You couldn't change into civilian clothes. You had to wear the uniform all the time.
Do you remember getting any medals? Do you have any? Do you remember that? These are the point systems and the victory medal. Is that what you have? You have the Asia Pacific Area Campaign Medal and American Area Campaign Medal. This is a notice of separation from U.S. Naval Service.
Everybody has some medals, huh?
Yeah. That's your fingerprint?
Yep.
It's really cool that you kept all these papers. Did they just give you these?
Yeah, you get them when you get out. They're old, huh?
Yeah. Big old carbon paper. Was there anything that you, like anything that you learned while in the Navy that you brought home with you that you applied to everyday life?
Well, I learned to be a machinist, and I didn't know a thing about it when I went in, but I learned a trade while I was in there.
That's good.
And you couldn't learn better than that. That was as good a training as anyone could have. I've been mechanically, I can look at something that's running and I can almost tell you what makes that thing tick. I just can't help it, I'm that way.
Well, time is concluding. Do you have any last final concluding words? Anything?
No, I don't know what to say, huh?
Well, hopefully you can get these things copied and then you can look at them. And,
No, I don't need to. If you come back, I'll have him get copy. Whatever you want.
whatever, pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you.
Ocean.
So, they were dead?
One was dead, yeah. The other, I think there was, can't remember, but I think there was several of them there. And that's up in Alaska there, where that was taken.
So was there always snow there?
Huh?
Was there always snow? Like, there was always snow there?
I don't know whether it is or not. I was there 14 months, but I tell you, see, look how old that ship was. It was built in 1913, commissioned to the Navy May 1918. That's how old it was.
Old.
It was an old ship.
So you guys had to, like, rescue people that were, like, in the water? It's like,
Huh?
like, your ship, like, rescued people that were in the water?
Oh,
and the
yeah.
wires went down and
Uh-huh.
stuff? Did you ever find anybody that was alive?
Oh, yeah. This is when it was in dry dock one time. That's the way it looked. They sink that and then they pump the air out of it and it raises the ship up. Because ever so often you have to go in there because the seawater makes barnacles get on the
You
ship.
just scrape them off.
You have to scrape them off.
Yeah. I read about that a long
And we have a
time ago.
torpedo shop. That's a real torpedo right there.
It doesn't look that big.
Well, it's bigger than you look. It's probably 12 foot long because they run on alcohol. Huh? They have motors in there and they run on alcohol.
So were you mainly mainly like producing these ships to fight the Japanese then?
Yes.
Like, that's who you guys were
That's
like
what we
fighting?
done. That's exactly what we done. I went out on that for 3 days.
What is
We
it?
worked on it, yeah. That's a submarine.
Oh, under the water?
Uh-huh.
So did it launch torpedoes? Like,
No, what was wrong with this, it had a noise, it was making noise, and we had to take it. Well, it was a big job. We had to take it and stone every gear, stone it to make it smooth so it wouldn't we're making too much noise. See, that's the way we was most of the time, had ships tied up alongside of it.
well, isn't that what was wrong? Like in the very beginning of Pearl Harbor, like the Japanese bombed them and they were all lined up.
Yeah.
And like you guys didn't.
We raised the Oklahoma. I helped raise the Oklahoma ship there in Pearl Harbor. And it was so bad we took her out to sea and sunk it again.
Oh, did you know, like, there's like theories, people say like some people knew that the Japs were gonna bomb. Were you there then, like when they first
No.
bombed?
It was December 7th, 41. I didn't go into service till 43.
So did you ever see any Japs while you were there? Like, did you ever?
I've seen a lot of them.
Were they hostages?
We actually shipped them back to Japan.
Yeah, you time put them back
Yeah.
on there. So you guys weren't mean to them, were you? I mean, you just.
No, but you're 20 years old and you got a machine gun. You say, "Oh, I hope they run." When he was marching them to the ship and everything, you're thinking you'd like to kill a lot of them.
Yeah. But you never saw that. Your men.
Never did. Never. No. I stood watching over them a lot of times. This is a ship that a suicide plane hit, and we had to repair it to get it away from Okinawa right there.
Did that happen a lot? Like,
Happened a lot, yeah. It's close to the end of the war, yeah.
so people they just started killing themselves.
Yeah, that's the way they are. There, I'm right there. That's Pearl Harbor right there.
What?
And that's me right there.
It's nice there, Hawaii. It's nice. Like, now they got these memorial sites there. Like I went. And
Oh,
they
it'd
were
be
really
altogether
nice.
different. See,
Yeah.
that's the motor launches. That's the way you got to shore and back. Right there.
Because your ship wouldn't go all the way in, right?
Yeah. It would be anchored out in the harbor.
So did you guys have that like 1,500 hour type thing? Did you guys go by that like 16, 20,
Yeah.
1700
Uh-huh.
hour?
They go for that Navy time.
No, I never understood that.
And our captain had his own motor launch there.
So he'd get away.
Yeah, so he'd go to shore in that. You had to ride in these open boats, but he rode in that.
He got all the special treatment, huh?
Special treatment, yeah.
A lot of pictures in those books. Do you remember people taking pictures? Do you remember cameras? Do you remember that?
They took them. They took the pictures. The ship. That's the inside of the ship right there. That's the connecting rods. That's what makes the ship go. Look how big they
Huge.
are.
Takes a lot to power that big ship, huh?
They'd only run 12 miles an hour.
That's it?
That's it.
It's not very fast.
No, that's why it took us a long time to get from Pearl Harbor to Okinawa. 30 days out to sea. We had our own brig, see?
Is that like where you stayed?
Well, in case you done something wrong, they put you in there.
So you would get in trouble? Like
You get in trouble, yeah.
You
Like
never-
if you didn't come back on time, and
They had to wait for you?
they don't wait.
So like
We had our own post office. See?
So like did you guys all have to like go back on deck
Oh,
this
yeah.
time and then they took count?
Be
and
back
stuff?
on time, yeah.
Did you ever get put in those things?
No, I'm one for rules and regulations. They don't bother me.
Did you ever get to see the captain's pit or whatever? Like where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
got to steer the ship?
See them all the time.
Yeah.
Now then, they have women on ships.
Yeah.
If this was now, they'd have a woman on it. I'll tell you, back in these days, blacks only was mess cooks and stuff, only served officers. Back in the day, we had our own barber shop.
So there weren't very many African Americans on your ship.
This is about all of them right there. There wasn't very many.
Did you ever talk to any of them?
Boxed some of them. Well, yeah. They're just people like any. I don't either like somebody or leave them alone. That's the way I am. I don't. Color don't mean a thing to me. If he's a nice guy, treats me all right, treat him all right. If he don't, I'll leave him alone. That's my rule. There's a lot of white guys I don't like, but I think a lot of blacks would be better off if down the line the family would teach them to be more sociable than the way they are. You know, a lot of them's intimidating. And if they wouldn't be, you can see how much metal and stuff we had on the ship there.
Rods?
This, this was in our department right there. That was all strapped down right there.
You'd think it'd have to be with all that rocking.
Well, we're getting ready for turkey dinner. See, they got turkeys laid out. We had our own bake shop on there. We baked bread and stuff for all them other ships.
Yeah. For the other ships, for people to eat?
Uh-huh. Well, the destroyers didn't have that big a kitchen or anything. That's the mess line right there. That's where you go to and get the food right there. It's just like a buffet.
Yeah. Just as good, huh?
Yeah, it was good, yeah. Of course, I'm not a picky eater. You know, I'll eat anything. And there's the sick bay. We had our own, like, hospital on there. It was a big ship,
Really?
crew of 800.
It's a lot of people.
That's a dentist office. And everything that you can get anyplace.
Did you have duties? Did you have like certain areas you had to clean?
No, worked in machine shop, made stuff. We about always had, whenever we was out to sea, you seen them big connecting rods? Well, I had to stand watches down there because back in them days, they had steam boilers, and you had to watch glasses to keep the steam level so level that water in.
So then you didn't have to like turn it down when it
Yeah,
got high. I
yeah.
read a book about that called
Huh?
The Jungle by Upton Sinclair.
Yeah.
He talks about how you had to, when it gets so high, you have to turn it down, let it go.
Yeah.
How long did you work? Like what time in the morning? Do you remember? Like what time you got up in the morning? So like how late at night?
They get you up about 5 o'clock.
That's early.
And go to bed about 9.
It's before the hens are up.
You see, this right here was the machine shop. This is all the machine shop. Had lathes and we could do anything. We could make any part of a ship. Just any part that broke. And this 3 pictures here is the machine shop. That's a mold shop. Look, they're molding stuff right there. If we needed a valve, they'd mold it. Whatever they needed. We had all kinds. Here they are working on them trucks. Every so often we had to bring them aboard, drain all the alcohol out of them, and refill them because they get stale.
Did it get old because you didn't use them?
Even had divers. See, they went around and repaired the holes in Oklahoma, and then we raised it.
They say those things are really heavy.
Oh, they are
Suits.
heavy. That's the way they keep you down. The lead shoes that they wear must weigh 50 pounds apiece. In fact, they lower them down with the boom.
Yeah.
Lower 'em.
I saw that movie Men of Honor. Have you seen that?
No,
Cuba Gooding Jr. He's in there and like they have to wear it and he says it's so heavy you can barely
I seen
walk.
it. I seen Pearl Harbor, the movie Pearl Harbor. That's the last show I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It was the dress and stuff just like was when I was their wife and stuff dressed.
Like a lot of like other vets said that it didn't really depict it as well as they
No,
thought
it
it
didn't.
could have been.
It didn't really. I mean, not really. I didn't think so, but it wasn't that bad. And here we're having parties. We even had parties on the ship.
Yeah. You got a woman on the ship, huh?
She was some singer.
Oh.
We had our own band. That was our own band right there.
They played for you?
Well, yeah, they played for different doings. That's Okinawa right there. And this is the way the whole island was. Just everything burned off of it.
Did the Japs do that? Did they like
No, we
destroy
done it.
it?
There was Japanese on the island. We bombed it.
Uh,
Burned everything off of there. And this right here was a tour of Okinawa, and I went on it. When we got back, the ship was already to go out to sea because the typhoon hit there at that same day after we got out of the way. And this guy right here was from Marion. McKee was his name. He was from Marion.
Did you know him? Did you
Yeah,
talk
I
to
knew him. I knew him before I went to service. That's the way they cracked the wheat out there when they in service and made their flour and stuff.
The Japanese?
Chinese.
The Chinese?
These are Chinese. Yeah.
So you guys weren't fighting them, they were friends?
No,
They were
the
all
war
good?
was over then. And I had some I got some other pictures had some pictures here of these. There's a big Buddha in there. Yeah, it goes all the way up there. We had our own basketball team, and that's how muddy it is. That's in it. It says there it's the Black Hawk in Okinawa, but it wasn't because that was in Alaska. See, they had plenty of entertainment. See, they had boxing, basketball, about anything. And here the Chinese was there, and they would do tumbling acts there.
It's kind of like a yearbook. It kind of like shows you.
It's like a yearbook, only it covers
War book.
more. Yeah, it covers a lot. And you had church on there,
Did you go to
Catholic
church?
and Protestant. No, I never went to church. Still don't know. Oldest man in the Navy, right there.
What was his name?
I don't remember what his name was. He was a Filipino.
There were a lot of Filipinos on there.
No, he's the only one.
Did you ever talk to him?
Hell, he couldn't speak English. He couldn't speak English. And he was the damnedest guy, and he ate everything. He was a bugler. He ate everything in a cup, had a big granite cup. And he'd go along there and get all his food in there and go over and fill it full of coffee. And he'd eat it.
Ugh.
The officers and we had 3 mess halls. The officers had one. That's the chief's mess. This is the officers' mess. Each one had different. This was one captain going to another captain. We changed captains right there.
So you changed captains during your time in there?
Yeah, they served so long and then they get transferred to another. He's getting a Purple Heart. He was wounded on the ship right there.
That's what you got if you were hurt?
Huh? Yeah. And here you are, standing inspection.
Make sure you're dressed right and stuff?
Yeah. That's when you're in port. That's what they do. Make sure your hair cut, everything. Back in them days, they was a lot stricter than they are now. And this is the first bunch of men to leave. This is at Okinawa. They left for home, right there. The first bunch that left our ship.
Were you in the first bunch?
No. We went from there to China.
So D-Day is called discharge? But D-Day was...
Now you can see we had 2 or 3 ships lined up alongside us then. They was happy. They left by points. They had more points than I did. And these are all postmarks. The ship I was on, believe it or not, he spent 21 years in China before the war started. And it had been all over the world. It had been everywhere. This is all the places it had been. Been around the Horn and everything.
So being in there really made an impact on your life in some ways.
It made a big impact on my life. I mean, I'd never been a machinist or anything, you know, what I've been. Probably a mechanic, because I've always worked on stuff. I don't know. Fate just deals with whatever they want to. I mean, I didn't ask for it, but I was happy to get the training. I can still run any machine. I mean, I have guys, if something breaks down, I take it to a machine shop, I have to tell people how to fix it. I'll have her to make it.
Side 2 of tape 1.